It's not an AMA, short recap about the games. This is a play-by-play. No Instagram, these holograms. Boy, these ain't the same. This South Harmon, you know we do things a different way. We got in the room, come join the team, but don't be in the way. Stay tuned, join that Patreon, we do giveaways. Make nutted than ATM, you know they on a different wave. Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, pick a day. This South Harmon, you know that we glad you here today. This not an AMA. This not an AMA. This not an AMA. Short recap about the games. This is the play-by-play.
What is good, everybody? Sunday recap. We're here. Week 9 is almost main slate officially in the books. Still waiting on one. Not looking good though. If you're a Seahawks fan, your quarterback's trash. Trying to tell people
they've known. They've known. They just. I mean, well, they're unlike a lot of teams, or they're like a lot of teams. Let's say as we get into some of these game discussions, right? We got some. As always, Mike, this will never seem to be a different conversation. Will never change. A lot of quarterback issues in the NFL, buddy. Wouldn't you say? I mean, in general, huh?
You know, people tried to fight me about Wednesday when I said the NFL's got a quarterback development problem.
Yeah, I mean, well,
it's okay. Keep fighting that losing battle.
That one people still probably will say is there's people developing, there's people that aren't. Well, whether that's true or not, Let's start off with, Mike, let's do things a little different today. Let's go Lions and Packers. Just a little pro quo in housekeeping thing. My computer is lost currently, which has basically all of the glorified holograms we have. So we are doing our best to give you what we can today. So you'll get some holograms that just might be a little spotty. Go ahead.
Like, how you lose your laptop, man? You don't travel with that fucker like on your persons at all times?
Yeah, I had to check it at the gate though because it was full. The flight was full, so they made me check the bag and didn't expect it to be a problem, but it was. Yeah. I was already kind of like seeing if I could sneak it on as like a personal item, and it just wasn't flying. You know.
They don't let you, man.
Yeah.
That
my
sucks.
I stuffed too much shit in there, you know, so hopefully we'll get it back. But speaking of lost...
I travel with mine in my backpack, and you got to pry that out of my cold, dead fucking hands.
I should have just... I wasn't even thinking it was a problem, Mike, to tell you the truth. Here I am, though. Should have just taken it out of the bag, and here's the bag. Speaking of the bag, what do you think right now of Jahmyr Gibbs?
The truth.
Yeah, I like that call. I like that call.
Do we have any issues with him being Dynasty RB1? Please say
I don't. You know what's crazy? It feels like it's been so long. I was one of the people that was arguing for him in Dynasty RB1, I guess, off season. At least in the conversation, right? I had a big tier, and I had a tier with him, Brees, Bijan, and you could put CMC if you wanted to. I personally did not. So at that point, I had Gibbs at 1, tied with those other two. While he doesn't get necessarily the same touches, the volume may be different, Mike. What do we know about Gibbs? Like his pass-catching prowess plus the touchdown upside, plus the fact that he can run the football. For me, he's the do-it-all package. So yeah, we'll get to Achane, hopefully.
He's nuts.
See, we got all kinds of problems. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. Look at how small this little guy is here.
But he is explosive as fuck, man.
Yeah,
that's what I love about him. About him. He's so good running inside the tackles too. It's like, you know, you want to do player comps or whatever. This is the closest thing, if not the reincarnation of Chris Johnson.
Which one? Achane or Achane? You're talking, right?
No.
Gibbs. Oh,
Gibbs.
Well, we'll get to Achane in a minute. Then the comp is it's so clear on Player Profiler too. But yeah,
is nuts.
Gibbs also is explosive. Gibbs is Mike, where would you put him right now? Do you put him RB1 overall in Dynasty? Do you put him ahead of Bijan and Brees?
Yeah, okay. I put him ahead of Bijan, even though Theo will hate that. Want to fight me on it?
Theo will hate that? I love that.
Yeah, Theo will hate that. I'll take Gibbs.
Okay.
I mean, look what he does just on like 12 touches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if something ever happens to Monty, like, oh my God, give him 20, 25 touches in a game.
What's your take on? Let me ask you. What's your take on Amon-Ra St. Brown right now, as well?
Mr. Consistent. They're dominating fucking teams so bad sometimes. Like, he had a good game this go round, but we've also seen like a 2-catch game out of him this year.
Yeah,
and it's
2
not
catch,
because,
7
like,
yards, and he got in the end zone. He happened to.
It's not because he got taken away. It's just because they're fucking blowing people out, man. The Lions are fucking stupid good.
Yeah.
Imagine what happens if they actually do get a real pass rusher, at the trade deadline before Tuesday, or on Tuesday, I guess I should say.
Right.
Holy shit, man. Holy shit, they are cooking. No, but he's still pretty solid. Like, if you're going to bet anybody to have 5 catches and 50 yards every single game and maybe a touchdown, probably Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I would agree. So then I guess we'll talk real quickly as well. You already kind of briefly touched on it, but David Montgomery?
Solid, really good. Probably for a lot of people, you're kind of wondering, is David Montgomery worth a first on my contending teams? And I'd say there's a lot worse things you could spend a first on than D-Mont. Again, you kind of know what he's going to get from him. He's the heartbeat of the team, kind of sets the tone on offense, and really opens things up for Jahmyr Gibbs later on. But D-Mont is good. He's good. And this is a guy I shit on all the time. But I definitely think we're at that spot where you can pretty comfortably say, like, yeah, I'll pay a first for him and just put him right in my RB2 spot and enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's crazy is, like, obviously the better day goes to Gibbs today. But, Mike, I mean, even still on a day like today, 17 touches, 73 yards on the ground. I don't know. I'm having a hard time really, even with those he got 3 catches for 23 yards. It feels like even the floor for him is not that bad, given the fact that we're looking at a split backfield. It's kind of insane when you really think about this backfield as a whole for the entire season.
It's interesting to see how they use the rotation of the 2-2 as well. I almost said 2-2. No one gives a shit about 2-2.
Sure.
It's interesting how you see the rotation, because on that opening drive, it was such a long opening drive, and they had the ball forever. And Monty's in there every single play. Like, every single play. And you're like, is something wrong with Gibbs? No, they split this shit up by drives most of the time. It's not like we'll give this guy 2 plays on this drive and then we're going to rotate somebody else in. It's like we want to get them in a groove. And it's something I've always fucking hated, being like a running back stand and being a former running back, way long ago in the day.
Sure.
Don't fucking take me out when I just started cooking. I just reeled off a 15-yard run, and now you're going to pull me to the sideline, tap me. Fuck that.
You know how it goes, Mike? You know exactly how it goes,
Feed
man.
me.
All right, let's get to the other side of the ball here. Where do you want to start? You want to start with
Jordan Love. Let's start with Jordan Love. We got to have this conversation here. I saw a stat that just came up, too, because he threw another pick. 7 fucking straight games he's thrown a pick. 7 games. I get it. He's injured. He's gutting it out. Props to him. This offense can be ridiculously explosive at times. He also just makes some fucking terrible decisions, man.
Yeah.
If that was Will Levis who threw that pick 6, oh my God, Twitter is
for sure. Now, to be fair, Jordan Love already has done. He's already done 10x what Levis has, so that's why he gets less of a Mayo-like response. But I will say you're not wrong. I mean, he has. I don't know. I don't even know if I guess, is it partly injury? Is it part of the fact that, I'll be honest with you, man, this Detroit team as a whole, just fucking good. Everywhere you look. To imagine, Mike, this team just had a catastrophic loss on the defensive line is just hard to even quantify how good they are. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's
and they had a bullshit ejection too, man. Yeah. Kicking branch out.
How did that? I almost forgot about that until you just mentioned it. You're not.
What the fuck was that? All right,
what about
a day of ejections though?
What about Josh Jacobs? Because I agree. Jordan Love sometimes has some bonehead plays, but by and large, I feel like this defense kind of gets that out of teams and out of quarterbacks. What's your take on Jacobs today?
If I'm not mistaken, by like halftime, he had 90 yards. Meaning, for the rest of the fucking game, he had 5.
5 rushing yards, yeah. And he only had 2 catches for 13. Mike, can I tell you what's crazy about it? Over 7 yards a carry. I feel like Jacobs has been super efficient this year. And, like, if you look at the NFL perspective side of it, it's hard to pick a bone. But just from fantasy, I don't know. This is kind of what we've been talking about. It just hasn't amounted to what you're really wanting if you're an owner of Josh Jacobs. Like, he has not been anywhere near, I think, for fantasy points as good as he's been for the NFL side of it.
He really want more from him. Like,
Right.
you really do. I would say this. He kind of like the guy on the other side. He's been David Montgomery, but not as consistent. How about that?
Yeah.
Because let's not forget, earlier in the season, there was some pretty putrid performances. So I don't know what to make of it, man. I keep touting this Marshawn Lloyd thing, and he continues to be hurt and no news on him, so I don't even know what the fuck's going to go on with that. But LaFleur's usage of running backs has kind of always been suspect, and even with Josh Jacobs being efficient and looking good at times, it's like he still never really wants to do it. Like, I don't get it. It's just always kind of this big conundrum. Like,
Fair.
you're like, man, he should be smashing, especially when you look up and you're like, damn, he's got 90 yards at halftime? Good. You know, weather game? Nah.
Nah.
Not done. Let's get Emmanuel Wilson some touches, and like I said before, whatever the fuck Chris Brooks is, let's get that some touches.
You want to get some? You know what? One of the holograms we do have is Emmanuel Wilson. If that's what you want, I mean, sure.
He had one of the best plays I seen though today, when that snap went fucking errant and he picked it up and he was back like 20 yards and he did everything he could to get like a 1 yard loss. Good on him.
Him getting the touchdown was like, fam, why? I don't even have any Jacobs, but I still feel like the human aspect of like, why is this happening? You know what I mean?
Yep. Rough day for all the fucking pass catchers except for Jaden Reed, because he had a couple of explosive plays later in the game.
Yeah, he's
salvaged it.
I don't know, Mike. I feel like with him, I know we were talking about it on the trade show just yesterday, but if there's one, it's going to be him, buddy. He can find a way in any given environment, any given situation. He's that explosive. I don't know. I guess I'm starting to even. We talked about it there. I don't want to get carried away. Meaning, if he's in a top 15 range in someone's dynasty rankings, I'm probably good on acquisition, or I'll trade him to you for that. But it's kind of like with him. You just have to take the bad games, because the good games are going to be awesome.
Good games are going to be awesome. Bad games are very, very frustrating. The overall target share is very, very frustrating.
Yep.
I'll say this.
Yep.
He is a very fine player that I'm interested in. I do agree, though, as a community, we're probably too high on him as a whole. And I'll say there's probably not too much difference between him and like a Jordan Addison type, because in reality, they're about the same fucking thing.
Sure.
Yet Addison gets all the hate and gets properly ranked, and Jaden Reed's up here flirting with wide receiver 1 for whatever reason. Rough look. Everybody else stunk. I mean, Tucker Kraft didn't do shit. Christian Watson didn't do shit. Romeo Doubs didn't do shit. Jordan Love wasn't good. And Josh Jacobs was underwhelming. Detroit. Oof. Tough team to play. Biting them ankles.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Let's talk about Saquon, man.
The King?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think the King still has his own throne to claim, but this guy is basically the same story, right?
Well, I mean, technically, right, is Baltimore more north of Philadelphia? No, Philadelphia is more north.
Philadelphia, I think, is more north, yeah.
So Saquon could be king in the north.
Yeah, true. This dude is just video game stuff, bro. It's not real. It's not real.
No matter how much Nick Sirianni wants to try to fuck this up, he still does it. And when you say video game thing too, like if you people didn't check out the reverse hurdle, what are we going to call it? A birdle? A backwards hurdle?
Yeah, the 180 that he didn't turn, or he was already turned. A backwards hurdle off of a spin move. I think.
I tell you, Adam, that was something straight out of NFL Street. You remember that fucking
game? The reason I say like video game almost doesn't do it justice. You got to go to something like that, right, where it says that we're trying to be over the top and trying to be excessive, because video games wouldn't even try to do that. I think, Mike, the thing with Saquon is can we just please have Nick Sirianni just let him get the rock and just stop messing around, because good things happen. This offense just has too much firepower all around it for it not to amount in just absolute problems for other teams. I think I don't know what I was just gonna go. I don't know what you think of the overall total of the game. I feel like it was not what you were hoping for as far as the outcome. As far as you did get the win, so you got that, but it just felt like some shit was left on the table, if you will.
There was a bullshit fumble 6. They said Saquon wasn't down by contact, even though clearly on replay he was. But whatever.
What about Jalen?
Is what it is. He's looked a lot better lately running the football. Like he's back kind of the old Jalen, which I like.
Yeah.
He still did have a couple questionable, like, what are we doing? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And even on like some of those ungodly 2-point attempts that Nick Sirianni kept calling over and over and over again. There's also, I want to see a little bit more situational awareness from Jalen instead of, throwing the ball out of bounds on a fucking 2-point conversion, whatever. Yeah. Actually try to make a play, but he was solid. That rushing is really fucking going to carry him though. And if that's back, oh my God, we're right back to QB1 overall territory.
Yeah, as I was watching the game, it's feeling like I'm watching this was the opposite when I'm playing against Jalen Hurts in one of my matchups this week, Mike, where you're watching the points pile up, and it feels like it's not happening on the field as much as it is in fantasy. And we've already talked about it. It's cheat code type stuff, and it feels a lot more like a cheat code when you're playing against it and watching it closely. Devontae Smith also.
Second straight week of a fucking beautiful connection between those two for a tutty.
You gotta love it, don't you? I mean, I do anyway. I love it. You'd love to see it.
He did his thing, man. I'm really fucking tired of this AJ Brown thing. I really am, and why people are, we love AJ Brown when he's out there. I love him as an Eagles fan. I love him in fantasy when he's out there. This fucking shit is getting old, though, man. These goddamn knees of his come out. Do a little bit and then gone for the rest of the game. And now, we're probably going to get some information that, he's, week to week or whatever the hell it's going to come out.
Yeah, I would expect them to be a little more cautious. 6-2. Yeah, I don't want to act like you're in a position to just take weeks off, but you want him back healthy when it matters as opposed to next week if he's not quite right. So
I was really worried, though, with him out there on the field and the way that offense was going in the first half. Smitty, I don't think had a catch for the longest time. I was like, we need it. And then he delivered. They started drawing up plays to get to him perfectly. So,
Mike, I'm going to go ahead and just save us the trouble. As opposed to trying to get these Jags ones loaded up that don't deserve to be. 23 points, and basically nobody was relevant for the Jaguars, to be completely frank with you. It's kind of hard to imagine. Bigsby, 22 yards.
I ask one question?
ETN, 24. Just garbage. What's up?
Can I ask one fucking question about this? Listen, Corey's in here, Eagles fan. I get it. I'm with you, man. This Sirianni thing is frustrating as shit. It is terrible.
Yeah.
But let's just jaunter over to what our former coach used to be on the other side, Doug Peterson. Tank Bigsby had been on a heater. They got Travis Etienne back today.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I saw out on the field far too much? This fuck named Dearness Johnson.
Yeah. Yep.
Why? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing, Doug? Please fire his ass too. Fire him into the sun.
Can you hear me? Because my screen is frozen. It looks as though.
You're just frozen. That's
okay.
it, man. I'm still moving, but I can hear you, baby.
All right. We'll see if I can switch it around, or what's the story with that. I'll just stay frozen for now while we keep this going, buddy. All right.
Let's start dunking on Doug Peterson. Adam's cameras like.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but you definitely were an influence in it. Mike, let me pass it to you here while I try to figure this out. Goodness, gross games all around. What's your take on the Saints today? Chris Olave obviously left with a pretty tough injury, right?
Terrible. That stinks. That seeing him go out too after getting Derek Carr back and starting to show some signs of life here in the last couple of weeks is crushing. And Derek Carr, he's going to get all the hate. Mike Thomas hates him. Apparently his current teammates hate him. Fizzle hates him. Internet hates him. Whatever. I'm just happy Derek Carr was back at him. You know why?
Yeah.
Because he made Alvin Kamara that dude again.
For sure.
He understands the assignment, unlike shitty-ass Spencer Rattler. He understands the assignment. Get the ball to AK. That's all he needs to do.
It felt like also, Mike, to that point, he was trying to do so to Olave so much that he got him in a bad spot. And it didn't look good,
he threw him a hospital ball.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. It's like What's crazy is didn't Spencer do that too? It's like, bro, what are we doing to Chris Olave? Like,
yeah, they are trying to hurt him.
My camera might do that a couple more times. I forgot about changing the setting here. Anyway, before I freeze, Mike, let me ask you on this. Is there anything else on the Saints that we care about, bro? Especially after what happened to Olave? Like, it's kind of when Olave goes down, it's tough. What's that?
Taysom Hill usage, best ball.
There you go,
man. Sliding into your tight end or quarterback spot, either way.
That is a hologram we don't have today, but that's a good. I guess at this point, it's kind of like when things break down to this level, Mike. You just you got to get Taysom Hill more involved, and he's been banged up in his own right too. So,
but Kamara being back to being a warp god, that's what we wanted to see. Thank God.
It needed to happen versus the Panthers defense, who has just been gashed by running backs too. So, all right, Mike, let's talk about the Panthers then. Obviously, getting a W here is
they got to win.
Bryce Young starting 2 games in a row. Gets a dub here. I think actually, what's interesting is it sounds like we're going to get this guy back into the situation of being the starter, or at least it sounds like that's going to be the case. Right?
No way.
The Andy Dalton, they're not going to go right back to Andy Dalton after a W here?
Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk?
Not me.
Other than Chuba Hubbard, though, most of the offense on the Panthers was kind of just pedestrian.
God awful, yeah.
They did enough, man. The Saints did more to lose it than the Panthers did to win it, but hey, still counts all the same. Chuba, though. Chuba's solid. Chuba's solid. All these rumors of Jonathan Brooks coming back, and he's going to be back this week. Well,
how many more weeks of this?
Maybe the week after. Maybe we don't fucking know. Chuba's like, just give me the rock. Just give me the rock. I'll carry y'all. And Xavier Legette got a touchdown, man. Got to see him ride the horse again.
I was gonna say his dance is becoming more prominent because we've seen more scores.
I bought into this Jalen Coker bullshit too. And 3 targets.
Oh no. He had a good one. He just didn't amount to a catch, Yeah. It's all right. Let's see what we got here.
What a turd game, though. What a bad matchup. Just 2 idiots fighting.
Pretty bad. Let's go ahead, Mike, and let's get your let's talk about this Cleveland Browns game. We normally start with the Browns, but I figured here you go.
Hey.
How's that for Jameis, huh?
Hey, he is who we thought he was. I'd say this. He's at least unlike some of these other shitty quarterbacks in the league, at least he's entertaining, man. He's entertaining. He should have had.
He's pure entertainment, no question about that. Huh?
9 interceptions today, I think was the count. Apparently, Chargers.
Dude, it was. I'll be honest with you. Like some of these times, it's like y'all had more practice this week. Like I don't get it, man. It was really rough, really rough. They were behind. They also struggled with time of possession. I mean, he should have had more turnovers. They still struggle with time of possession. I mean, that's what the Chargers are going to do to you. Speaking of LA, but
he's certifiable dog shit, but he's entertaining dog shit at least. Like that's good. That's good. I don't know. Here's my biggest fear about the Jameis and like people buying into him, and even I bought a few shares, on contending teams, basketball teams at him. My biggest fear is he's so ass at some point, DTR or somebody else is going to get in there and start games. So,
well, I mean, what's crazy is they asked Stefanski. Imagine Stefanski after Watson's ACL or Achilles is gone, already answering who's your starter next week questions.
Yeah,
he said he's going to Jameis. The question definitely begs to be asked if you're trying to develop a DTR. There's so many things about the Browns that are just honestly kind of crazy. What I will say is
here's one thing that makes sense though. After watching this one, kind of what I predicted at him, when Stefanski was asked all them weeks ago, are you going to bench Deshaun Watson? I think his answer was just a nice version of the Mike Zimmer. Why would I play Jameis? I see him every day in practice. Like he knew what he fucking had, man. As bad as it is to say, Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback on that fucking roster.
But what does that say about DTR? Because he went right back to Jameis on this. Can I tell you though? Let me say this, buddy. Cedric Tillman, though, despite all the antics, Mike, this is 3 weeks in a row. This is Wide receiver 7 at the point right now. The one thing I said about it is, like, I definitely understand not wanting to buy into most of this. I'm sorry. He's currently wide receiver 9 because it's a lot of good finishes, including the JSN performance this week. Mike, but if you're telling me this all goes wrong, now granted, when it goes wrong, what are they going to do with Jameis? Keep throwing, buddy. Yeah. Keep throwing with your goofy ass. Like, so that was beneficial to him. 6 catches on 11. The target volume, I think, is what's sustained, not just the blow up today, but what's real about this. 12, 9, and 11 targets the last 3 weeks. They're going into the bye now. What more could you want, bro?
Right. The only thing I will still be cautious about is this whole quarterback situation, because it's sunshine and rainbows when Jameis is in there, no matter how he's playing.
DTR will kill the whole offense. DTR will kill the whole offense.
It'll nuke it, and this will go to 4 targets for 2 catches for 12 yards. Yep. That's where it'll end up. So that's the only cold water I'll pour on it, but enjoy it while you got it now. If you want to be a little bit risky, you can buy for the rest of the season, and it could pay off. It could really pay off for you. But also we could get to week 13, 14, and DTR starting, and that's like, oh, great. Like, Cedric Tillman helped me get here as a very nice find, and now I have nothing. And actively hurts you, too, when you're starting him in the playoffs, and he's giving you those 3-point performances.
QJ. Quentin Johnson.
I had to start him today. I didn't have a fucking choice, and I'm glad I did.
You got to feel pretty good about it, no?
Thank you, Amari Cooper. Thank you, Amari Cooper, for being soft as baby shit. Throw QJ back in the lineup, baby.
There goes QJ, and there goes Dobbins. I think that was the bulk of it, right?
Yep. Again, this is so weird with the Chargers, too. In the first half, this is twice now I've seen this. They come out, and Herbert's slinging that thing all over. You're like, yeah, this is going to be the Herbert week. Let's go. And then they shit on the opponent so much that then they just go for full turtle second half. you know? Dobbins really didn't do shit in the first half, and it was all Herbert, QJ, and they were slinging the rock all over the place. And the second half is like, all right, now we're just going to hand the ball off a billion times. And Herbs, you just chill, buddy.
you just chill. Yep.
I don't think we're ever going to get it just the way this team's built, the way this offense is ran, and the way this team is actually pretty functionally good under Jim Harbaugh, and the defense is playing solid, that we're ever going to get that Herbert ceiling game. I think that's a thing of the past, man. I think we can bury that for good.
Okay. You think it's a wrap? All right. That's fair.
I think that's probably a wrap, man.
I don't think you're wrong, though, as much as I hate to tell you that I think that's just, unfortunately, the truth of the matter, buddy. Like, it's where it is. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Let's get to this. Let's get to this Falcons game, Mike. Drake London.
Damn it! Why's it got to go out too, man? I had teams, legitimate teams, Adam, with AJ Brown, Chris Olave, and Drake London as my starting 3 wide receivers. So,
dang, that's crazy. The other crazy part, Mike, is we are pretty good ways into AMA to recap here. 28 minutes in, and we still got action. Ball game happening, right? OT.
There's still one going on. Oh man, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, still OT going. So
nice.
JSN, bonus without Metcalf is an interesting one here. But
bonus football.
Drake London, I don't know why his one is so small, but the dude plays very big, and he has been awesome. What was your take? I didn't mean to cut you off, or if you had a further point there.
No, it stinks, man. He went down on his hip.
Right. Do we have further clarification? I didn't hear anything.
I would assume just a contusion, and a contusion that he couldn't move too well. If I was a gambling man, which I am, and I'm pretty piss poor at it seems this week, every parlay missing. But I'd say he's probably back and fine sooner rather than later. It's just one of those where you go down on that hip. That's got to hurt. Not a lot of padding there unless you're really fat. Like me.
Sure.
Bijan did his thing again.
Bijan did his thing. Yes, he did, man. Yes, he did.
Theo will be happy about it. He'll be chirping about this is the 4th straight week of Bijan being over 20 fantasy points.
For sure. I mean, listen, Bijan, I don't know. Can you call it quietly because he's so, revered or whatever? He's been actually really good in fantasy lately too, and just in general, his season's looking mighty fine.
The receiving usage is what's so damn impressive.
Absolutely.
7 catches. Drizzy goes out.
You know what's interesting too? A good one today. While Algier still just scores a touchdown. Like, stop it. Get him out of here.
Please.
If we could completely nuke Tyler Algier, Mike, this could be a real thing. Like, this could really happen.
Kyle Pitts sucking?
Yeah, well, coming off of the gigantic wild week, I don't know what else we expected, right?
It was supposed to be a letdown, right? Just this was an epic letdown. Catch.
There's quiet, like there's hit the floor hard, and there's hit the floor, and no one even heard you land. It was not what you were looking for, buddy.
Maybe he's doing such a good job blocking for Bijan. That was the problem.
Yeah, I guess.
Good.
You know, it's not a wrong take.
Darnell Mooney, how about him, man? Just being a nice surprise.
Bro, you know what's crazy is I have made that hologram so many times, and it's not available, and that's a shame because he's becoming as consistent as all fucking get out, dude. He has been awesome. Yep. He has been awesome.
My Scott Fishbowl hero, Ray McLeod, kick returner and gets work on the offense, caught a touchdown pass. Let's go. You know how they do those on Fox? They have those drawings of the players. You know, they show them every time they score a touchdown. They put them on the drawings. Yep. The one of him has this crazy afro. Just ridiculous. I had to hit pause on the TV and look at it like 3 times when they put that thing up. I was like, that's wild.
Is Fizzle in here? Man. Cowboys 3-5, Mike. 3-5.
We're talking shit about Kyle Pitts, Jameis, and the Cowboys, so Fizz is gonna take the night off, I think.
3-5, bro. What is going on? What is going on for the Cowboys?
Dak left with an injury too. You know, hurt his hammy or whatnot.
Yep, saw that.
Also had a cut on his hand. It's Cooper Rush season.
That one really hurts me in a couple spots where, like, in best ball, he's either one of your carousel of 3, right? Where, like, you go down to 2. If you have 3 where 2 are solid, Mike, you're fine in best ball. You all of a sudden get to 2. I don't even care how good they are. You just don't ever like that in best ball, man. It just gross. Absolutely gross.
At least Rico Dotto got all the meaningful touches out of that backfield with no Zeke.
100%.
Let's continue that.
Let's keep Zeke out. Dak is wiggling around because he's what's your take on CeeDee Lamb as well? Leading receiver, I think, was Jake Ferguson today.
Yep, and CeeDee's going to have an MRI on his shoulder, it seems. I think he's got an AC joint sprain.
I saw that he was hurt. I just didn't realize that
he was hurt. Then he came back and he finished the game, like he finished playing. But I did see the blurb about him having an MRI now on his shoulder. So,
really? Oh boy.
Yeah, let's just keep pouring salt on this shit because this has been a major disappointment, especially after last week. We got garbage time. We got CD putting up a monster game, and Dak kind of doing just enough to be relevant. And this week I had high hopes. You know, Falcons, Cowboys, 2 good offenses. You know, kind of suspect defenses. I bet a lot of overs. Bet a lot of overs. Drake London leaves. Dak sucks. CD doesn't do shit. Yeah, pretty disappointing.
Pretty sad. All right, Mike, let's talk this Courtland Sutton thing. Let's talk this Courtland Sutton thing, huh? Who would have thought all this going on?
Oh man, these Broncos, man. I just bet them, you know, plus 200,000 to win the division and the Super Bowl.
Holy crap! Wait, plus 200,000? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I put $1 on it at him. You know, like when you see odds that good.
Holy crap! Team. That's crazy. That the Super Bowl is one thing, obviously, different story, but the division is, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. No,
Courtland Sutton's all of a sudden back to being relevant. Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
I don't have my Bo Nix, which is one we have to have back soon. But man, this offense has just been honestly very, very solid with Bo Nix at the helm. He was middle of the pack, quarterback 15 this week in a PPR scoring, but like he's making options. Like Courtland Sutton to me, Mike, was going to become dust this year. Frankly, like not anything really wrong with Bo Nix. It's just like you needed a player like Russell Wilson, I thought, to really give Courtland Sutton something. And even then, you look at last year, he might have been viable in best ball certain weeks, but he was like wide receiver 38 or something with all those touchdowns and shit. You're like, huh?
Yep.
So to see him having 2 weeks back to back is, man, I ranked him pretty high this last week and was, you can't fade him right now. He's getting a lot of targets. He's getting meaningful targets. He's the big surprise to me on this Broncos team, even more so than Bo.
Cedric Tillman or Cortland Sutton rest of the season. Who you want?
Same picture. Same picture. I want them both. I really want them both. Like
both. Of them.
I'll probably take Cortland Sutton by a hair, but in Dynasty, I guess I would lean Tillman because he's young. Although both of these guys, I'm not considering long-term investments. I'm considering for the here and now, right? Like, I wouldn't get over your skis on either one of these guys. While one is younger, one's older. Just take what you get now and kind of let the rest be what it may be. You know.
Everybody else on that offense stinks.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Mike, let's see if we can get
the Ravens.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to try to get up here. Maybe. There we go. There we go. The king.
This Derrick Henry fella seems pretty good at football.
You know what's crazy is he had a walk-in touchdown that he missed in the first half. I don't know if you saw that. Missed the read kind of. It was supposed to be a
Speed
RPO,
option.
Speed option going to the left, and Lamar goes to toss it, and there's just no Derrick Henry back there, and ended up being like a 7-8 yard loss.
Yeah.
That's a touchdown, honestly, flipped to Derrick Henry. Like, it's kind of crazy. Speaking of Harbaugh, I don't need to see Derrick Henry get 100 yards. Like, I know some people probably liked it for their fantasy teams. He's at 99. We're pulling Lamar. Like, pull 22, for God's sakes. I know he's so big and he abuses people late. But for God's sakes, don't do a J.K. Dobbins again. Stop it.
Please.
Please. Like, when he got 2 carries there at the end, I'm like, bro, please.
Why?
I have so many shares of him right now that I just don't need to be fucking around with, please. Stop it.
What is he up to now on his touchdown total? Like, he's going to smash 20, ain't he?
Yeah, remember when we were talking about 20 and how Jack said that and he's going to go crazy? Mike, again, barring health, it's a walk in the park.
Oh, my God. He is insane. All right, let me pull it up, man.
Well, speaking of insane, let's not besmirch fucking dude Zay Flowers today, buddy.
Yep. Good. He's good too.
He's
good too. He's so good that they traded for Deontay Johnson and he didn't have a single target. Did he even play?
I don't think he. Mike, I'll tell you the truth. I don't think he played. At least I didn't see him out there.
At all?
I didn't see him. So I don't know if he was a healthy scratch or.
I saw a couple.
I saw plenty of.
Targets.
I saw plenty of Shoddy B too. So
I saw some Nelson Aguilar targets. Nothing for Deontay. Nothing. Zero.
I'm really hoping he didn't play. To tell you the truth, let's see.
Well, if he did, could he get one goddamn target?
He didn't. He wasn't. He was to play on a snap count. Expected to play 10 to 15 snaps. So he was basically not.
Probably
not
out
active.
there on all Henry running plays.
Yeah, it wasn't. Anything to get excited about. And Lamar has been. Listen, man, Lamar throwing the football to me is something that is not talked about enough with him, and I think should be. There was a pass, Mike, after that play, which Derrick Henry messed up, right? So it puts him in 3rd and long. Bro, this wheel route that frickin' he threw on the button to Justice Hill. Did you see that ball on the left side? Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. Absolutely pure. Absolutely pure as a throw. Like, out of the pocket, just such a great ball. I feel like that part in particular is not being talked about enough.
Lamar, 23, 24 fantasy points, depending on how your league scores. And he didn't do anything on the ground. Nothing. 97.6 QBR, too. 97.6 as a pocket passer.
Yeah.
It's a pocket passer. Imagine the day he has if he adds in, 40 and a rushing touchdown to this.
Crazy. I will say, right now, one of the crazy parts to me is that all the great weeks we saw today, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, we haven't even got to. Lamar still RB3. Derrick Henry, RB5. Zay Flowers, wide receiver 2. And that's only because Garrett Wilson's becoming a serious thing, despite Adams also being a serious thing. The Ravens' offense is like Anders, I think right now is at least a distant 4th. in this offense where at the tight end position, he's still relevant because of that, right? But it's consolidated with these three. It feels really good. I'm hoping Deontay doesn't muddle up Zay Flowers. I'm not very excited for the outlook of Deontay relative to what we were seeing in Carolina. I know it's an offensive upgrade. That's just not situationally for him. So, but outside of that, man, I feel like you got to love these three players. You just have to love what these guys are doing for you.
I'll be bold. My bold take for the rest of the season: Deontay affects Zay Flowers. None.
Okay.
Zip.
Interesting.
Zilch.
I mean, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just I'm hoping that is correct as well. I'm hoping so. Zay's been balling his ass off, man.
He's so fun to watch.
He is
so fucking fun to watch.
How
do you cover that guy?
Well, right now you can't. And the best part is, like, I really believe, and this is not to discredit Zay. This is more so to say that what the Ravens are doing to teams and putting them in a blender for what they have to address in the run game, you can't even really put any focus on Zay. That has to be the third and distant third thing that you're worried about, which is why when he goes off, he goes the fuck off. He gets lost. He gets completely wide open and downfield, and he is fun as hell to watch in fantasy right now, bro.
The one thing you don't want to do is try to cover Zay Flowers one-on-one with a mobile quarterback back there throwing him the ball.
No.
You definitely don't want to do that. And defenses have to do that. Like, they have to do that.
Welcome to fantasy scoring JSN, buddy. I mean,
all you needed was DK out. Who knew?
Yeah, 106 yards and a touchdown. Only 4 catches, 9 targets, though. Do you think this is a game which is big for JSN getting on a trajectory moving forward, or do you think that this is a problem? Huh?
He went way more than that.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at the stat line before overtime and all that. That was
7 for 180 and 2.
That was sedentary information, Mike. If that's such a thing. I was
gonna say, man, you're under something.
No, I'm looking here at all the other information was complete except for that. So let me refresh to give you.
He's a top fantasy scorer on the week.
Is he wide receiver 1 for the week now?
37 fantasy points.
There you go. Well, it was already great. This was not actually meant to.
Proven again that he was the best
2 touchdowns, 7 catches, 13 targets. So let me ask you, Mike, for this, does this now, with the not discrediting him for only 100 and whatever I said before, does this put him in a spot where when DK comes back, it's those guys 1A, 1B, or are we looking at when DK comes back more of what we saw prior to this where it was just so spotty?
I want to believe that it's going to be 1A, 1B.
This was a crazy game, man.
It was insane.
So did he score the game-winning touchdown?
He scored the game-tying touchdown, yeah. Well, as I talked about how Geno Smith's dog shit, he took him right down the field and tied it up, sent it to overtime. Touchdown pass to JSN.
Oh, but the Rams ended up winning. Okay. Damn.
Rams won. I want to believe he's going to be 1A, 1B. That's what I want to believe.
Sure.
I got a real bad feeling as a JSN truther and the guy that loves him that it'll go right back to being DK 1, Tyler Lockett, him and JSN fighting for 2. Sure. Yeah. And Noah Fant being mixed in. Like, he did this without DK. He did it without.
Oh, yeah. Fant wasn't out there either, too.
Yep. He was missing 2 of them. And Fant had been playing really well. As much belittling as Noah Fant's gotten over his career.
Rightfully so.
Yes, rightfully so. But he did all this in a game that they were trailing for most of the time. They really had to throw the ball. It wasn't like a super high-scoring game. I mean, they weren't completely out of it, but they needed it, and he did it without 2 pretty good weapons on the field. So I want to believe Adam, but I also kind of feels like if you have your concerns, this is exactly what you wanted to, like, put them on the trade block and see what's going to happen. And if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's just say, like, you're not going to get a better day. This is an unbelievable day for JSN. So that part I'll definitely – you got to love. I think you love seeing a guy when the situation's in his favor actually going out and smashing. So, Mike, I think he's still going to be volatile, but I do think sometimes for a young player like him – like, I don't know if you saw right before I kind of got on here to try to prep this thing, he was talking shit out there. Like, you kind of just saw him, it seemed like, liven up. I think sometimes that really does a young player in particular a lot of good where they're just getting that mojo. Like he seemed like he was really in his own, buddy, you know?
That's what I thought last year when he was the reason the Eagles got their ass beat by Seattle, you know?
For sure. I mean, listen, it has not been a consistent ride. It has been a bumpy ride. It has been a frustrating ride, but Mike, this is if you put him in lineups or if you have him in best ball, holy hell, buddy, this is helping you win weeks in a big freaking way this week.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I was just talking about how JSN, we were talking about this at the BDG office because the guy who owns him is trying. He has an unbelievable loaded team, and he's trying to trade him away. And I'm like, he's wide receiver 79 in WARP right now. Mm-hmm. That's going to change pretty quickly. Pretty big flip flop from wide receiver 79, boss. You know?
I put him on the bench for Drake London and Chris Olave this week. So.
It's not necessarily a bad process, just a bad result, you know. Yeah. Kenneth Walker was kind of more ho-hum, I guess, but he got a ton of work, man. Like
25 carries, got 3 catches. That's a nice 13-point floor from what was a pretty pedestrian game.
I'm trying to say nice things because, like, I feel like people might if there's any type of there should not be any type of cooling. There wasn't a lot of room for him to run with, 3.3 per carry. But Charbonnet with 2 touches, can we put that to bed unless he gets hurt again?
Yeah. I think you and I were lockstep on this weeks ago. Weeks and weeks ago.
I just wanted to reiterate that for the folks that maybe aren't, forthcoming about it.
Yeah, please stop bringing it up, all right?
Well, we can't. I don't mind bringing it up. I have a fine time.
No, not you. No, I just mean the people. Stop asking me about Charbonnet. Like, that should never be a question for me again, unless Kenneth Walker's hurt. Then you can ask all the Charbonnet you want.
All right, let's talk about Stafford and the Rams, buddy. Cooper Kupp, 11, 104. Man, Puka Nacua had 1 for 11. So let's talk about Cooper Kupp, man. Mike, I don't have as many shares as other people, but believe me, all the shares I had were locked into my lineups today, and I'm not mad at all about it.
I love Cooper Kupp, man. I love him. I had some concerns last week because he looked slow. He still got that touchdown. Like
he did look really blockish, last week. But I was saying that 10 days rest I think will do him a lot of good, and it sure did.
It sure did. Puka, he wasn't getting targeted early, and then he got ejected. So it's kind of how fantasy goes, man. Ain't fantasy just a bitch for some people, right? Like we miss him for the majority of the season, right? Like we're sitting there going, God, I can't wait to get Puka back. And then
put him in your lineup, and this is how you're rewarded,
Well, no, then surprisingly, right? Last Thursday night he plays, right? And not many people started him.
I watched. Did you?
I'm an idiot. Yeah, I said, fuck it, whatever. I'm going with Gut or Fairy or whatever the fuck, little magical creature told me to put Puka in. So I got rewarded, but most people did not, and I understand that. I got lucky. Goes out, smashes, right? This week going in, bangs up his knee on Friday, and we're like, oh shit. And then we get told, nah, everything's fine. He's going to be out there. He's going to play. You guys will be okay. So he was probably in everybody's lineup this week. 1 catch, 11 yards, gets ejected for throwing a punch. Motherfucker.
Yeah.
So fantasy is so cruel.
I'll tell you this. Puka last week, goes up, has the big week. He's up there talking post-game. Like, he seems so, strung up and so eager to be back on the field. Not that that's not a good thing, but it seemed a little bit excessive. I got to admit. Like, it did seem like, damn, bro. Like, you're ready to pop off type shit.
You're ready to fight somebody.
Unfortunately, I guess that was really a thing because 10 days later, he had to wait more than a full week to play again. And I don't know, man. I get it. He loves football. But, man, availability is your best ability. Doing shit like that's just really dumb. Hopefully he doesn't get a suspension. You throw a punch, a lot of times that'll come,
It was pretty weak. A weak punch and a weak ejection, so I think it'd be fine.
I'm not saying that you're not right. I'm just saying that if you get ejected for throwing a punch, whether it does look weak or not, I think he should not get a suspension. My point is, you really want to get kicked in the nuts, Mike? Let that ejection come, and then please, oh my God, Kyron Williams has been unbelievable this year, but this was kind of more like Kenneth Walker, ho hum, right?
Ho hum, back to earth, in a little bit worse way.
But if
He
it's
just really couldn't get it going. Seattle's defense was playing really well.
these division matchups, man, sometimes these division matchups, in particular on the run game, like they know what these guys are running and the schemes they're using, and they're meeting them at the hole. It seems like fucking all day.
It felt like he had like a bajillion opportunities there at the goal line, and you know that single back fucking dive that they run that Kyron scored on. It feels like every single time this year. That thing got fucking stuffed.
Today. Not today, my
stuffed,
friend. It ain't happening.
So, to your point, like I think the division games, they know what's up. Like,
no, they do.
We've seen this shit many times. It's
honestly kind of crazy.
Here's one I do want to touch on though, just sneakily.
Go ahead.
Demarcus Robinson is like a different dude when Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua or both of them are in the lineup. Demarcus Robinson cannot be a number one. He can be a very good second, third option for you. Like, very good. Goes out and explodes again this week. You got a hog there for Demarcus Robinson.
How about that? For the sleepers out there.
Damn,
Don't sleep.
9 targets, 6 catches, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Again, he just looks so much better when those guys are out there. He just does.
I think, when he's the 2, right? When he's the certified 2, it's like, oh, buddy, this is... When they're both out there and playing a ton, it's like, all right, well, he's going to be up and down. But, man, this type of a situation, about as titties get, buddy. Just, like, real perked up. It was nice. Two touchdowns, 94 yards is he's going to finish inside the top 10 pretty easy. I think he was, like, wide receiver 6 or something when I was looking. Wide receiver 4. Wide receiver 4.
Wide receiver 4, man. Wide receiver 4.
Ahead of Cortland Sutton, ahead of Devontae Adams, ahead of Cooper Kupp. Blow-up game. So, man, pretty crazy shit
legend,
to see.
Demarcus Robinson.
Yeah, no question about that. All right, Mike, let's get to a fun one today. If I could find it, that'd be great. Let's see if it'll work or not, All right, let's see if this will work or not. Come on, baby. All right, it did work.
Got him.
Devon Achane. This was a game I've been trying to load up on the back end. Didn't get a blow up because we're working on it. But man, Devon Achane these last 2 weeks with Tua back, I'm just gonna say he's back, man. He is so back. Yeah. The amount of touches he's getting is kind of crazy to think about this. 10 carries and 12 carries these last 2 weeks. They don't sound anything alarming. Mike, 8 targets though the last 2 weeks. Touchdown through the air both the last 2 weeks. Another one on the ground today. RB2 last week, RB2 currently. What do you want? They lose to Buffalo today.
They do. He played his ass off. You love the fact too that they're still using Mostert, but they're using Mostert in that like early down grinder kind of role.
Yeah.
And Achane's getting all that third down work, all of it. Like, shit, we need 6 yards. Achane, the ass better be in here. Like, he has to be. Whether we're going to hand it to him and surprise the defense or whether we're going to throw him a pass, whatever it is. And then he's also getting work down at the goal line. He's getting work down at the goal line because he's such a dynamic package.
Big time. He's not even shit. He's really not even being threatened, I don't feel like, much in the red zone as far as touches go. Like he's the primary guy they're trying to get the rock to. Devon Achane has just been, I don't know. Right now, the way I'm looking at it, man, you're telling me 18 and 20. Well, it was actually 16 last week and 20 touches this week. We'll see what happens versus the Rams, but man, he's got a pretty nice schedule until later on in the year. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. Do you put him in the same tier? I saw. Wow, this is an interesting stat that Fizz just brought up. He leads the team in receptions. Now that kind of makes sense given the fuckery going on without Tua out there because you're just like dump it off. That's all they could do. Still a pretty interesting stat. What's your take on Achane? And I saw Barry put in here. Is he in the discussion in that RB1 overall with Saquon, or is that not for you?
He needs to be in there because he's so damn explosive. The one concern you're always going to have, and it's not him and his injury concerns, which that's a different topic, which seems maybe we rectify them. He put on the Guardian cap now, so he's super safe.
Hey, man, this pick needs updated, doesn't it? Get that Guardian cap on there.
Get that big fucking bubble on there. I'll say this. The injury concern you have with him is their quarterback because this offense is...
It's night and day. It's not even
disgustingly bad. It is worse than the Browns without Tua, and with Tua, this is like better than Jordan Love and the Packers.
Yeah, I think at least for what we've seen, and hopefully we don't see a problem, right? But like Mike, this has been the biggest seismic shift that you could have. Is been with or without Tua. So whether you think Tua is good enough to get them to the Super Bowl is a totally different conversation. But this team with or without Tua is about as drastically different as you could be. I'll just ask you this though. One thing I am curious about here. Tyreek Hill. Let's talk about this. Where are you at with Tyreek right now?
I think better days are to come with him. Kind of sneakily, too, we kind of brushed under the table that a couple weeks ago he suffered an injury that we thought was going to keep him out for a bit. And
right.
Like he still does kind of look like he's working his way back. I think with Tua being back, too, like they've become a little bit more cautious on offense. Like some of the deep shots just aren't there.
Just so you know, this was not what was intended, but I feel like it. We'll roll with it because it's the only one I got. It's a little bit of a. It's kind of like what we're expecting right now. Like what do we make of it? Is it scary or is it not?
I think it's kind of. I'm gonna put it like this, Adam. Like I don't know if anybody's been here. You know, you break up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You know, and then you guys were always right for each other. Like everything felt good, but maybe 6-7 months go by, a year, whatever it is, you two get back together. The first couple weeks, you're pretty cautious because you remember how it ended, right? Like that's what it feels like with the Tua thing. Like just the offense has changed just a little bit because it feels like they're being a little bit more cautious with what they asked Tua to do. I'll say this with Tyreek Hill and Tua and this offense, Jalen Waddle included in this. I think better days are ahead as the season keeps going on and Tua keeps showing that he's healthy and he's good and they stop being so kid gloves with him all the time and they let him go out there and, take more boots and rollouts and, not max protect all the time and not scheme up all these dump offs to Devon Achane. So Tyreek, he should be fine here. But, yeah, it definitely, I don't know. It feels gross, but it was still a 12-point week from a guy that we know can explode for 30 at any given moment.
Sure, yeah. Let's get a couple things out of the way and then we'll sign off here. Let's quickly talk about this Giants and Commanders game, Mike. So let's talk about to start off with here. Listen, Malik Neighbors, I got him on the fire here. The volume's been there. He's not been the same as far as his production, though. The elite level of production since the concussion. What do you make here of this? And we got a question from somebody about what do we make of Tillman. We'll get to that before we take off.
Yeah, I'll say this with Malik Neighbors. We kind of talked about it earlier this week. I think better days are definitely ahead for him as he kind of works in there. You're going to have these, though. It's just the way it is. It's still a Daniel Jones, New York Giants-led offense. Yeah.
Right.
Like it is what it is. Daniel Jones had a good day, fantasy points-wise, because he ran one in, had over 50 yards. But passing-wise, it was still kind of like it was a little tougher. Washington surprisingly has a very good defense. People don't want to believe it, but Washington does have a good defense. This is back-to-back weeks where they've kind of dominated start to finish. So,
yeah.
Neighbors, I do think, like, I'm very, very high on Malik Neighbors still. I still rank him way up there. So if there's any kind of, like, lull and people getting kind of tired of it or whatever, it might be your last opportunity to buy, especially before they get, like, a real quarterback soon.
Yeah, I still don't think that exists, although I just froze here. So talk about Tyrone Tracy, though, Mike.
Man, Tyrone Tracy is fucking good. It's good, and I did not anticipate him taking over the backfield like he did. There's no, like, going back to Devin Singletary at this point.
No, not at all, bro.
There's none. And this is my bad, too. I don't have many lineup leagues, Adam, so I think we're at, like, 8 or whatever. But on a couple contenders, I noticed today while scrolling through, I've been going through waivers and, all these people are getting fucking injured, you know what I mean? And I'm picking up shitters off there like dart throws. The waiver wire for running backs is barren as fuck. Like, it's barren. It's like Chris Brooks and Julius Chestnut types. Like, who gives a shit? And that's generally what I want to fill, right? Like the Scott Connor any RB on a 53. But they're so fucking bad. Like, there's no upside to these dudes. I got a couple contenders where I'm like, God, I could really use a little running back depth. And lo and behold, I scroll down to my taxi squad because I forget taxi squads exist in lineup leagues. And guess who I got stashed? Tyrone fucking Tracy, here to save the day. All right? This is my bad for being a poor roster manager, not moving him up sooner, but that'll be rectified this week.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not owned in any type of league, that just feels criminal. But he's been surprisingly good and surprisingly leading the backfield without any reason for competition. And I guess that's been the nice thing is that they're just kind of rewarding the young kid despite the contract of Singletary and all that. Let's go ahead and just try to finish off here. The Bengals,
Jaden Daniels, I refuse to not wear his jersey until he actually sucks. And, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, I mean, yeah, he didn't. Did he suck? I mean, I wouldn't say that he sucked. Oh, okay.
No, I said until he sucks, which is why I got the jersey out.
Got it.
He just goes out, he shits 20-point games every single week.
No, he was. I don't even know. Like, I don't want to say anything bad about him. He was good. He was good today.
Nope.
He was doing everything that he was asked to. I think what was interesting was Terry McLaurin as well. Like, they both just did what they needed to today. Terry didn't get a lot of volume, but 2 touchdowns. So how's that?
2 catches, 2 touchdowns.
How's that? I played against him too. It's like, God damn it. Like the slow day that he actually had, can we just be a little more reflective of that? Nope, I'm watching just slant, wide spanking open on that first slant to the score. Easy one. And then I also was playing against Eckler in that same league who subsequently had a good day. When B-Rob's out, nice little consolidated offense, man,
It is. Give the Eckler show. You like it. Still got enough juice to be effective too.
Yeah. Listen, I can't get any of the Bengals ones to load up, but last thing I think we need to say is that Joe Burrow has been – I feel like since we've had kind of we talked shit on him. Listen, he's had some – he had a bad week last week versus Philly, right, relative to fantasy. But he's been balling his ass off. And today is another week similar to that Week 5 game where he played versus Baltimore, where you're talking 40-plus that just – those absolutely – destroy teams in fantasy. So
I think the most disappointing part about this Bengals game, if I told you Joe Burrow comes out, scores 30 fantasy points and throws 5 touchdowns, you're like, Jamar Chase had a day, right?
Yeah.
Jamar Chase had a day? No.
No,
he didn't. He did Drew Sample, Tanner Hudson, Mike
Gesicki, all the tight ends, right? Get everybody in that mix.
Except Eric Hall.
We got the question on the screen, Mike. So let's go over this here real quick as we get out of here. All right, we'll end the show if I can find. When you go through them all, it's like, all right, where the fuck did I put it? Here it is. Cedric Tillman.
You put it up quickly while you pull it up, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll touch on the Cardinals Bears.
Keep doing that.
Bears fucking suck. DeAndre Swift finally disappointed. He'd been
in a big way, right?
Fucking heater. Yeah, he'd been on a massive heater. He disappointed. Rome Odunze, though, 5 for 104, 7 targets. For Yep. They threw the ball all over the place. Caleb Williams just wasn't playing very well. That Cardinals defense really showed him what's up. And Kyler Murray didn't have to do much. Neither did Trey McBride, Marv Harrison, nobody in the passing game because they fucking ran all over the Bears to the tune of 213 yards. And everybody, and when I say everybody got in on the action, James Conner had a day. Emery DeMercado had a day, and Trey Benson.
DeMercado had that.
Scored a touchdown.
DeMercado had that 50-yard to the crib right before halftime. Like, that was going to be their last play before half, and he took it all the way to the house. Unreal.
Gone. See ya. Rome Odunze, though. Maybe. Just maybe.
I feel like the problem is it's just so hard to – it's just not going to be consistent, These games exist, but best ball.
I like to call them Rome, Smith, and Jigba.
I like to call them Rome wasn't built in a day,
How that works. All right, Cedric Tillman, though, Grant. We got you, buddy.
Pull him up. I got
you.
Speaking of blow-ups.
My thoughts on Cedric Tillman, enjoy him while you got him. I do have some minor concerns later on in the season, Grant, because Jameis Winston is completely terrible. If they do stick with Jameis, even if he's having bad games, he's going to throw the piss out of the ball. Like we saw today,
so Cedric
Tillman will feast, just like today. I think he's good enough. My biggest concern is if they ever do decide to go to DTR, Cedric Tillman goes to a 0 asset immediately. So you got to factor that in when trying to acquire him in Dynasty or seasonal or whatever it is. Here today, but this could be gone tomorrow. So factor that into your price. If it's something that still makes sense to you and you're like, hey, by week 12, it could be a 0 asset and I'm okay with it if it gets me these next 4 weeks, go for it. Go for it. But if somebody's like, hey, I need this pretty good mid to early second for Cedric Tillman, I'm in the mindset to tell him to kindly fuck off.
So you're willing to sell more of a mid to late, like a playoff second, but you get into the early mix or maybe even the might not make the playoffs mix. You're kind of like, you can keep your damn Cedi.
You can keep your Cedric Tillman.
That's fair. I think that's probably fair. I'm kind of curious to see after 3 weeks in a row what he ends up going for. I would love to see a few trades of him on the trade show. Speaking of which, patreon.com/South Harmon. If you have a trade of either Cedric Tillman or any player, come join. For $5 a month, you get access to all the awesome things we have in the Discord, plus the ability to put it on the trade show. Would love to review what's going on in the streets on Cedric Tillman, as well as all the other players here in Dynasty. But, Mike, that's a wrap. Any further or final thoughts you got before we get out of here, buddy, on Cedric Tillman or on the entire day?
I know we need to take the injury slider and turn that fucking thing down, please, for our sanity. Yeah, I didn't know I needed to ask to take the ejection slider and turn that thing off too. Like, stop kicking dudes out. Right? Stop. Jesus Christ.
It honestly feels like if there was like so there's like a slider and certain things if you're working with graphics like chaos. It feels like the chaos is just up where just weird shit's starting to happen. Like there's
one more thing.
Go ahead. What's your other thing, please?
One more thing. It's fantasy related, but shit IDP 202, Adam. The defensive scoring's juiced, right? Even more so than 101.
Yeah.
Trey fucking Henderson had 122 points this week. just so, like, when that shit comes up, we talk about that league, and people wonder why I say, like, the draft picks are worth so much. Trey Henderson had 122 fucking fantasy.
We'll have to, at another time, you give us some context. What was the highest offensive scoring player in a single week out there? Because just to give context to how insane that 122 and change is.
122 is ridiculous. And the best part, it happened, I'm playing B-Hall, so I'm playing against Trey Henderson. And Adam, I can say this confidently, I think B-Hall's going to lose. Trey Henderson giving him
that does make it awesome, just that could even be possible. Speaking of possible, anything is possible with Jameis Winston. 3 TDs or 3 INTs, just close your eyes. It should have been about 7, 8, 9. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot picks. Buddy, it was hard to watch today. That's how it's going to go. There's going to be moments of misery, pain, and just this is hard. The other thing is the offensive line showed its woes again versus a good team. There's a lot of problems in Cleveland, but that's another day. We'll hopefully have another 3 TD game, but we're not sure. See you back here, same time, same place, next week for week 10. Mike, we're in double digits already. Recap. We're out of this thing. Peace.
Dallas sucks. Fly, Eagles, fly. Got him.